For everyone. So we'll start with you, Dr. Belays. Can you tell us a little bit about your background? Quickly, your degrees, how long you've been involved as a computer scientist in cryptology?
I'm a computer scientist. My specialty is in computer security and cryptography and the applications of cryptography to building large-scale systems. I've been, as a particular focus of my research area, I've been concerned with surveillance technologies and some of the issues at the intersection of technology and public policy. In this issue, 20 years ago, I discovered some flaws in the previous U.S. government proposal, the Clipper chip.
Right. So, and you are at a university that's, the department is pretty well known worldwide when it comes to cryptology and computer science. Is that correct?
I'd like to think so.
Right. And I know you're a modest man, so I don't mean to ask an indelicate question, but you're considered an expert when it comes to cryptology and encryption.
I suppose so.
So, in your expert understanding, is there any way to do a split key approach to encryption?
So, there are things we can do, like splitting the key between multiple locations that can reduce some aspects of some of the risks in a system like this. I mean, certainly,
but it does create additional vulnerabilities.
That's right.
That anyone who has a technical capability would be able to take advantage of.
That's right. We can move the risks around from one part of the system to another, but there are still fundamental problems that
and this was ultimately part of the problem with the Clipper chip from the 90s.
That's right. There were a number of problems with the Clipper chip proposal, but that was one of them.
Mr. Potter, thank you, sir. As a politician, I'm always told don't answer hypothetical questions, but I'm going to pose a hypothetical question to you. If there were a back door or a front door put in applications or programs of U.S. businesses, how do you think the impact that would have on businesses in China, Russia, and Iran?
I have to anticipate, sir, that those governments would ask for their own backdoor.
Thank you. And now, Mr. Bankson, we're going to save you for last. Mr. Connolly, in a question, if you have a properly issued warrant to go into someone's house, and there's a safe in that house that's locked, what happens?
The safe will be taken out and it would be broken into.
Okay. So in your testimony, you mentioned that Google, and I believe we can infer Apple, stated that its new operating system would make its mobile devices inaccessible to law enforcement officials, even with a warrant signed by a judge. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So if you had a properly issued warrant, would you not be able to get that device?
Could get the device, couldn't get the information off the device if it's running iOS 8.
So iOS 8, if it's the default setting is a 5-digit PIN, correct?
Is it 5?
Yeah.
It's a passcode of some sort.
Dr. Blaze, I'm a little rusty when it comes to, so that's 5 factorial of 5, right? And it would take, what, 13,000 iterations, possible iterations of a potential 5-digit PIN?
So a 5-digit.
Actually, it's a 4-digit PIN, I believe what it is, 4-digit PIN. So that's 4 factorial of 4, which is even less than 13,000.
10 to the 4th, but so about 10,000.
Is that for brute force method with today's technology, is that difficult?
That's well within the range of a brute force attack.
And how long would that take?
On modern computing hardware, essentially no time at all.
Right. So that's the equivalent of taking, would you agree, that's the equivalent of taking a safe out of a home and using some safe cracking skills. This would be the digital equivalent?
No, this would be much easier than that.
Because you're good, I think my colleagues from Texas A&M would probably be able to do it too. Now, my next question is to you also, Mr. Connolly. The upskirting example that you used, if you had a surveillance on someone doing upskirting, the fact that they're putting a camera to try to take pictures of someone, would that not be enough to arrest them?
That would not be enough.
Okay, so,
In order to commit the crime, you have to have taken the photo, and there'll be no way to prove it. Then there'll be to prove that the actual photo was taken, what it was taken of. So we could not successfully prosecute that case without the photograph, in my
excellent.
opinion.
I'd